Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing episode 20 of Dragon Ball GT, which I have just finished watching for the very first time. Yeah, there's this is another one of those episodes where I'm like, well, there's a lot to talk about and there's also not that much to talk about. So, I think the best place to start is with Goku and Rild's fight, which is still going on. So, in the last episode, Rild transformed by absorbing the other robots. And at the beginning of this episode, he's like already battle damaged. Like this transformation barely did anything for him. And a few minutes into this episode, he's just like, all right, I'm transforming again. And he gets this like, it's almost like the people making Dragon Ball GT listened to my last video where I complained about the designs, and they were like, oh, you want a sleek design? Fine, we'll give you a sleeker design. And he gets this very like sleek metallic singular color design, not as sleek as some of Toriyama's designs, but still very simplified in terms of how he looks, and he sort of is able to like melt into metal and stuff. And it's basically revealed that he is one with the planet, and he's like one with all metal in this planet. And so it's like he can like melt down and reappear and like control like the entire environment. And it's just like Goku's literally fighting a planet. And it's ironic because like earlier we had Lude, who was referred to as a god of destruction, and this was before Battle of Gods, where gods of destruction were revealed. And now we have Goku fighting a planet, which, recently, spoilers for the Moro arc in Dragon Ball Super, but Moro becomes one with the planet, and so we have Goku fighting a planet there, Goku fighting a planet here, and it's just very interesting seeing these parallels, you know what I mean? Meanwhile, Pan is trying to get to Gil, who she gets into the tower, breaks in very easily. She goes up to Gil, and then the emergency evacuation system happens, and the walls transform and they spit her out of the building. And this happens just it gets very repetitive and annoying because it happened last episode. It happens 2 times, I think, in this episode. And one of the defective robots shows up to help her and disables the system. And even once the system is disabled, there's a backup system to eject her again. And it's just I got really annoyed. It just felt repetitive and kind of pointless. And I'm just okay, just hurry up, just beat up Gil or something. With that said, I'm beginning to have my doubts as to who Gil owes his allegiance to. You know what I mean? Because at the start of this arc, I was thinking, okay, Gil's obviously gonna not really be a bad guy, you know what I mean? But then as the arc went along, I was like, okay, hold on, maybe Gil actually is one of the bad guys. And now at the end of this episode, we see Gil maybe look a bit sad-ish, and the Dragon Balls get spit out along with Pan. So I'm did Gil do that? Did Gil help her out? What's going on with Gil? Which either way, they can't pass it off as Gil being this is I'm just wondering what they're going to do with Gil. Is Gil going to get his comeuppance? Because if they just kill Gil, then I won't mind. Because Gil's an annoying character. I'm just going to be honest, I don't like Gil. His voice is really annoying. Just beat him up or something. I don't like Gil. So anyway, I'll go back to Goku and Rilds. That's a really weird name. Rild. It's an unusual name for a character. But I'll go back to their battle. So it's basically he just Rild just fires this beam, and it engulfs. It's his carbonite beam. I'm just calling it the carbonite beam because it literally encased Trunks in carbonite. So I mean, what else do you call it? But there's some interesting imagery with like the way the trees rise up and the way like it almost turns into like an ocean of liquid metal, and like how blobs will just be flung at Goku and they'll like dissipate. I am wondering, like, I'm hoping that this battle might pick up in intensity, because this battle did not feel like the focus of the episode, which is a real shame. Like, the focus of the episode felt more like Pan going on her little repetitive adventure, and I think if this episode had more of Goku and Rild fighting, then I would have been a lot more positive towards it. But Pan's like story in this episode just isn't interesting because it's like the same thing being repeated, and it's annoying. The battle with Rild, like it feels odd because I don't know what the point was of having him transform at the end of last episode, only to have him transform again a few minutes into this episode. You know what I mean? Like, they could have just saved time and had him do this form at the end of last episode. It's a really interesting concept with Rild, how he's like basically one with the planet and controls everything. With that said, that's blah. I can't talk. With that said, so it with that said, so is that even a saying? Just with that said, I don't know why I added the so. Sorry. With that said, the fact that Pan is going on her own little thing while on the same planet does limit the scope and feeling of the combat, because like the idea is Rild is sort of like he is the planet, but because it's only limited to this one area and we know the other areas of the planet really aren't affected by this battle, it does sort of limit the like the scope and the feeling of how epic this battle is. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if we're gonna get Super Saiyan 2 in this, because I said this last episode too, because like Super Saiyan 2, it's always a viable option. Goku, like, the problem I have with this fight is that I feel like neither opponent is really getting anywhere. Like, I don't feel like any progress is being made. Like, with a lot of Dragon Ball fights, it's like, ooh, our heroes are really struggling. They're on the back foot. Oh, the villains are really, you know, on top. Oh, maybe they just got the edge. They just got the edge over them. Oh, they're finally, no, they're back. Oh, it's like this really exciting back and forth thing, even if sometimes it's very slow paced, but they still do their best to keep it interesting. Whereas this, it really doesn't have that. I don't feel like Goku or Rild has an advantage. I just feel like they're fighting and they're pretty evenly matched, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, it, and I know that's gonna I know that sounds weird because Rild is a whole planet, but it's like Goku's been barely affected by the fact that Rild is a planet. Like, they just keep fighting, and it doesn't appear like Goku is really running low on stamina. It just feels like Goku wore Rild down to where he's like assumes his planet form, and Rild's fighting Goku, and they're like fighting each other. But I don't really get a sense of, oh no, I don't know if Goku can defeat this guy, or how is Goku gonna get out of this one. I mean, well, I am wondering how Goku's gonna get out of this one, but I'm not like sort of on the edge of my seat, like looking at this fight. It's a very sort of dull fight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get a sense that Rild just feels sort of invincible, but that because of the way it's executed, it's not an intimidating form of invincibility. It's sort of, it feels more like I'm just waiting for Goku to get this fight over with, if that makes sense, because it's like, because Goku, like, they don't show Goku really struggling. Like, they show Goku getting attacked and maybe thrown off his game a bit, but they don't show Goku really struggling in an intense fight. It's a very relaxed fight, if that makes sense. Like, there isn't any moment where it's like, oh, I don't know if Goku will survive this. It's very casual. There aren't any big moments that you're gonna remember, and we're 2 episodes into the fight so far. Um, I mean, I assume stuff's gonna pick up and things are gonna pick up in intensity. So far, we really haven't had any um, big fights in Dragon Ball GT, and we're 20 episodes in. I'm trying to think of if there were any big fights in. Let me think. Because in Dragon Ball, 20 episodes would be somewhere in the Tenkaichi Budokai. In Dragon Ball Z, I get my Dragon Ball Z confused with my Dragon Ball Kai. So that would at least be the fight with Raditz over with, and I'm not sure if if Vegeta and Nappa had arrived yet. I need to go back and check. But that would be firmly in the Saiyan saga. In Dragon Ball Super, we would have had Battle of Gods, and we would be in the middle of the Resurrection F arc, which, I mean, I guess this is better than the Resurrection F arc, just because it's perhaps a bit better paced, but it's not like it's not like this fight is really grabbing me. It's very, and the fact that it feels so unimportant to the episode as well, like the way this episode focuses much more on Pan's struggle, it feels like this fight is just like a background thing that doesn't really matter as much as Pan getting to Gil. And I feel like with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, the fights were the focus, like a center, like the central part of what was happening. And here, it feels very much like a side thing. It's very, well, they've already said it doesn't feel like the conflict is very intense for either side. So hopefully it'll get a bit more intense with the next episode or something. I just want to get a sense of, like, is Goku really struggling against this opponent? Is this difficult? Is he still, like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? But that's all I have for now. If you enjoyed this rather rambly review, then you can go check out the other episode reviews I did, and stay tuned for the others I'm going to do. I'm currently watching through every episode of Dragon Ball GT for the first time, and doing a review of each one. So if that's something that interests you, then feel free to stay tuned and have a lovely day.